Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we are going to discuss in today's show how you can make the most of the new energies that are asking you to be more courageous, creative, inspired, and brave as we move into a fantastic rare alignment between four outer planets, all connecting at 4 degrees of their signs in July. Now, I have touched on this energy before, but I wanted to make it more personal in today's show. I wanted to focus in on some of the specific energies that you may be feeling or sensing that are showing up for you here in July and beyond into the second half of this year and even moving forward into next year, because this is where the astrology is personal. The energies are individual. This is where the universe is now giving you green lights to go. Are you ready to go? Are you ready to do something new and courageous? Are you ready to begin a new chapter, to trust yourself more, and to not hold back from the next dream that you want? That's really what is aligning here. And these energies have been coming together in the background for a while, but July is significant as a turning point because there's an amplification of the energies as Jupiter, now in Leo, reaches 4 degrees of Leo and basically lights up this configuration, revealing where bold determination and new levels of leadership are beautifully supported, amongst other things. And so I want to break it down for you a bit, again, to make it more personal, because when we talk about this big astrology, we tend to look out there. We tend to be looking out in the world at large, maybe waiting for something big to confirm it's real, perhaps sensing that something might happen. Surely something is going to come about to validate the astrology. But what I offer you is an understanding that you are the power. You are the creator. You are the one who is living this energy, who is embodying it, and you are your own force to be reckoned with. You are the creator of your reality. And this alignment is giving you that yes energy, that green light to move ahead. And so what we also want to stay aware of is anything in your energy, consciousness, or mindset that is hesitating or waiting for permission, waiting for someone else to agree or someone else to say go for it, maybe hesitating and doubting that this is the time for you or this is what you should do next. Of course, all of that's real, all of that's human. We all feel that at times, but this is a much bigger energy frequency moving through you that maybe you've been privately feeling and now it's gaining momentum. There's been an accumulation of these energies behind the scenes. And essentially, I want to support you in making the most of whatever is calling to you next, whatever is speaking to you, and wherever you feel yourself being beautifully inspired to invest in your new reality, the next version of your life. It is that big. And of course, it's going to be different for each of us. So some people are already deeply aware of this change, and you might feel like you've been held back, like you were ready to go earlier and you've been waiting at that starting line to be released and move ahead, where other people could just feel like they're being pushed forward outside of a comfort zone or outside of an area of themselves that they've never met before. And that is exciting. This energy is invigorating. It's growth oriented. It wants you to move outside of your own comfort zones and your own self expectations, even because the universe is saying there's beautiful developments awaiting you here. There are some awesome potentials that could only happen now. And that's part of astrology. See, astrology is not a belief system. It's not something that you have to subscribe to in order to believe that it's real. It's a consciousness system, it's an energy system, and it's a language. And it helps you work with the timing of cycles in your life, as well as the timing of cycles in the world. And when we tune in to those cycles and we work with them, we become wiser at our own next steps, at our own timed decisions, and essentially embracing the energy that is supported while also trusting when there are phases that are certainly more difficult, more emotional, when there are more delays, challenges, and perceived setbacks. But the universe is always going to balance out the energies. So know that wherever you have felt those challenges, delays, or perceived setbacks, maybe that is going to start to lighten up for you. And you're going to feel newly encouraged within your own energy shifts that now is the time to move ahead and that there's greater support and ease in doing so. In other words, this is a cycle of forward movement that is going to show you it's paid off. You're trusting in divine timing, your waiting, your patience, your ability to stay present in your own self and in your own reality, even when it wasn't the reality you wanted. Now is the time that the energies are going to move you ahead. And so those of you who have strong fire and air energies in your chart, fire signs being Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, the air signs being Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, your planets and points in these signs, especially in the first 9 degrees of these signs, are being strongly activated now. This is not a drill. This is not a false start. This is not an illusion. This is it. And the energies are bigger than you. Maybe you've been feeling that as well, that you've been sensing, I have to go do this thing, or I have to go try this new idea, or something is bubbling up in you where maybe you had some doubts, insecurities, or didn't know if it was real, didn't know if it was going to happen. But it could be that all of that is being exfoliated and cleansed away. You're being newly purified with this fire and air energy that is giving you a new mindset around what to go for and why. And I feel that this energy, not only is it fast moving, but it's also very clear and direct, like a laser. And so keep in mind that there could be things here that you just instantly know you have to do. You have to go for it. You have to say it. You have to make moves. Like there could be something here that seems almost too direct. And it's easy for us to question that because we could have a lot of questions. We could need a confidence boost. We could need some kind of validation. But these energies are moving fast for a reason. And it's up to us to remain in alignment with the forward movements that are happening now. And that's really important to understand here because we are entering into a new phase of our own reality where life is going to move ahead faster. And this is a big shift, especially if you were to compare it to the last 15, even 17 years. Because in that previous cycle of the past, I'm going to say 15 years, the outer planets were in slower moving signs overall. Pluto was in Capricorn, Neptune was in Pisces, Uranus was in Taurus, and there was more of a steadier beat or pace of life that we learned to trust and work with. And this would have been very beneficial for any of your planets or points in earth signs and water signs. Now the tempo's changing. The rhythm is different. You've got to be salsa dancing now. There's no more waltzing. Like this is move it ahead, move it on, let's go energy. And this is going to bring to life more parts of you that perhaps have been dormant or tempered and quiet. This is a revival of life force, and it's also bringing alive new dreams, ambitions, creative desires, and exciting life chapters that again are going to move quickly because we're moving forward with this new rhythm and pace, and it is lightning fast. It is that laser beam of energy that moves things ahead. So of course, it's always up to you what you choose and how you decide to move with these energies. But if you have a strong fire and air energy in your chart, you're just going to have a sense that things are happening faster, and maybe you really like that. You enjoy it. You're here for it. You could even have a relief, like finally, what I've been waiting for or what I have been putting energy into is being created now and is becoming a part of my reality. So all of that is important to understand. Now let's get into the astrology here. And I know that not everyone who listens to the podcast knows astrology or understands it. So I always try to speak in English. And as you can hear, sometimes I speak very fast in English, but this is where I want to make it very practical for you and applicable to what you may be experiencing so that you can be empowered in your choices and your decision making. This energy is essentially bringing us to an edge, our own edges, our own external, uncharted territory. It's taking you further than you've ever gone before. We've never had this kind of energy in our lifetime before. It is that rare and that significant, and that is also why it feels so new and different. So what we have in play here are 4 outer planets that are all matching up in the middle of July, creating a basket. Now, a basket is describing the aspects that these 4 planets are making to each other. The 4 planets being Pluto retrograde in Aquarius at 4 degrees, Neptune retrograde in Aries at 4 degrees, Uranus in Gemini at 4 degrees, and Jupiter in Leo at 4 degrees. And how they all align through aspects, which is essentially how the planets are communicating and connecting with one another, is that a basket creates a container. It's also called a cradle. And so there's an alignment here of energies that are holding new frequencies and creative potentials in this alignment, in this basket. And all 4 planets are interacting with each other in conversations that change them, that evolve them and shift them. So this is a basket of evolutionary change where nothing stays the same. Nothing is going to feel like it is dormant or stagnant. It's going to feel like multiple things are coming alive. It can also feel overwhelming. It can feel like a lot is going on. How do I get a handle on this? How do I get a handle on this basket? How do I hold this in a way that my human nervous system can integrate it and work with it? Even though the pace is quite fast, it can be difficult to slow down, to find stillness, to even know how to calm and soothe yourself with so much transpiring at once. And so, yes, this is another part of the equation, is that you might feel that even your body is pulsing with these new frequencies, that your mind is moving quickly and trying to process and think through all the new decisions that are being presented. Maybe there's a lot to organize in your life. Maybe things are really full. Maybe even you're realizing, I can't maintain all of this. Something's got to give. Something is out of balance. Maybe you're working too much and you're realizing, I don't have time for my loved ones or my kids or my parents. Maybe you're seeing that there's things happening all around you, but it isn't personally satisfying for you. It's a lot of stuff to do, but it doesn't connect to your heart or your personal desires. It feels like maybe you're drained because you're giving a lot but not receiving what you need. Perhaps there's also a sense here that a lot is going on, but what is the meaning of it? What does it really mean to me? Is it really important, or are many of these things just distractions and they're pulling me away from my core and my center? And it feels like a lot of wasted energy. So there's going to be some important choices to make and decisions to be aware of as these energies pick up, because you're going to start to feel at a personal level where your energy is drained and overwhelmed, as well as where it is invigorated and alive. And that would be an important internal barometer to check in on, because it's also going to help you steer through these energies and maintain an understanding of what you want, what's essential, and basically how you want to harness the power of these dynamic developments, how you want to be in charge of them instead of allowing them to overpower or overwhelm you. And again, it comes down to your own astrology chart and how well you work with fire and air signs. So let's break it down into some of the main aspects here that are unfolding. And I do want to remind you that over on my YouTube channel, I have a playlist discussing some of these energies called Age of Aquarius Renaissance Energies. I started this playlist for you back in August 2023. So yes, I have been discussing this for a while, but that playlist gives you the charts, the astrology charts to examine and go through more specifically. So I do want to reference that because that's going to help also see what is unfolding between the planets. Now, Pluto is retrograde in Aquarius, and this is the energy of allowing us to face fears while being more authentically ourselves. One of the ways that Pluto in Aquarius is evolving us is giving us new empowered strength to be who you really are and to not be overly concerned with the group, the crowd, the audience, the community, or social media. That's because Aquarius is the collective. It's where people gather and connect to have their shared passions, activities, endeavors. Aquarius is where we come together, but in order to be connected to others, we ultimately need to be clear and strong in our individual authentic self. And so Pluto is giving you an understanding of where your fears have prevented you from being more of who you really are, because those fears could certainly be something that have traveled with you across lifetimes, certainly across this lifetime. It could have highlighted where you felt like an outcast, you didn't belong, you were the one who was always different. Oftentimes it can be the person who's always ahead of the pack. Because Aquarius is future focused, there's a sense of you're ahead of your time. This is the case for many who are starseeds and light workers, is that you were misunderstood simply because you came in to be different for a very powerful reason. And this could be a season of change for you where that is becoming more evident. So Pluto in Aquarius is saying you can feel strong and powerful in your authenticity. In fact, that's one of the best things you can offer others is how you're different, how you're unique, what your skill set is, and your unique impressions and energies that cannot be duplicated or replicated, but rather they're here to contribute something that ultimately is valuable to the whole. So Pluto in Aquarius makes us uncomfortable at first, uncomfortable with change and owning more of our authentic self. But Pluto also reminds you there is no other way. It's important to go through those dark nights of the soul, to face your shadow, to look those fears dead in the eye and let them know who's boss, because this is where you're also going to be beautifully transmuting these energies in a way that brings about greater self-love and self-acceptance. It's also going to be permanently changing your auric field so that you're able to be stronger in your soul skin, stronger in your authentic self. And there's less desire or need to explain it or look for others to understand. There's a sense that, no, my energy communicates for me. My energy communicates my power and who I am, and that's how I speak for myself. So this Pluto in Aquarius is very important, and it's allowing us to feel stronger without diminishing ourselves in any way. Now, the next planet we want to then bring in here is Neptune retrograde in Aries. It is retrograde during this configuration with all 4 planets meeting up at 4 degrees. And Neptune in Aries is assisting us in rebirthing a new self-identity that could feel vague and unclear at first, because it also requires us to dissolve previous versions of self. And so you might find that you're going through layers of yourself, even like layers of your personal interests that are changing, parts of your self-identity that no longer fit, parts of yourself that you're realizing this actually is not in alignment with who I am now, because I'm now integrating more of my intuition, my energy, my psychic abilities. I'm now trusting myself in a much much deeper way, and I'm living from that place internally instead of seeking any kind of external confirmation or evidence. And so Neptune is our spiritual growth path, but in Aries, it's how it's personal. It's how it's affecting our sense of self. Aries is the first sign in the zodiac that reveals who you are at an individual level. Aries is where we decide to take a body, to claim an individual identity, have our own driver's license, have our own passport that says this is who you are. This is your physical body, your physical description. And then Neptune comes in and actually asks you to ensure that you're also honoring your spiritual gifts, your artistic nature, your imagination, and your creativity. Neptune is the other realms and other dimensions that we can't see, but we feel, and we receive them, especially through our meditations, our dream state, even as our claircognizance, clairvoyance, and clairsentience expands, we then become more integrated with Neptune. And so Neptune in Aries is where we're traveling with more of our higher self. That's also reminding you that you are more than just that passport. You are more than just your physical body. And when you trust what you're feeling and sensing intuitively, you're going to also be navigating this journey with more personal wisdom. And so this is also an important part of our rebirth and understanding that we are becoming new versions of ourselves that trust ourselves more than ever. Of course, that takes work. That's like a muscle you build where you have to go to the gym and lift those weights and keep practicing in order for that muscle to grow. That muscle will have to break down first, right, in order to become stronger and expand beyond what it was. And so part of the Neptune in Aries is allowing yourself to be renewed and to invite in even more of your talents and gifts than you thought were possible. This is also a softer energy at first because Neptune will whisper to you. It will speak lightly and you have to choose to trust it. But it's very present at this time, especially as it interacts with these other outer planets. So then the third outer planet is Uranus, now in Gemini. And this brings in more of the dynamic, fast-moving developments with Uranus in Gemini, which is a very active frequency. And so these are the new pulses that are running through our minds, our bodies, our nervous system. This is the part of you that could feel ready for change and impatient about the change, or ready for a new direction, a new choice, something wild to do that maybe you never thought you wanted before. But Uranus in Gemini is up for it. Let's just try it. Let's just see where it goes. This could be the energy too of sudden developments, quick moving conversations, fast moving decisions based on new information. This energy has a very strong pulse to it that moves things ahead suddenly, and that can feel disruptive. Can also feel quite liberating. You could feel that you are blasting away old mindsets, that you're willing to see something in a new, fresh way, that maybe you had some really strong opinions about something and that's been challenged or being challenged, and you're expanding your worldview. You're seeing things in a new light. You're curious enough to ask questions and to gather new information to understand something you were never drawn to, you were never interested in, maybe you were never aware of. Of course, a great example of that is astrology, where more people are curious about astrology. How is it valid? How does it work? I heard it was evil. I thought it was bad. Well, one of the first things you can do is have a reading, is have an astrology reading, to have a professional astrologer look at your own chart and give you insights into your energy and help you understand more of who you are. That's one of the more personal ways that people discover how astrology works and why it's been so valid for thousands of years. I mean, we didn't just pull this out of our back pocket last week. Astrology has existed for many cycles of humanity's evolution for a reason. That's because it's valid. That's because it offers us beneficial understandings of our collective journey and our individual journey. And so here comes Uranus and Gemini blasting away old mindsets, opening us up to ideas, concepts, and perceptions that maybe have never been challenged, and bringing in a new understanding of something that could surprise you. Uranus and Gemini wants us to think differently. Be willing to understand things from a higher perspective and a higher consciousness. Ask questions. That is actually one of the important expressions of Gemini energy, where yes, Gemini is a talker, but Gemini also has to listen in order to take in that information and needs to ask the right questions in order to get the best information. So this Uranus and Gemini is trining Pluto in Aquarius, allowing us to see ourselves in a new way, allowing our own self-concept to evolve and stay open to how our minds are meant to remain active throughout our lives. That it's not as if you stop learning necessarily or stop thinking at any point in your life. You're meant to stay mentally open and mentally engaged with the world around you. And as you explore more concepts, thoughts, and ideas, how does that continue to expand you? This is also the energy of new connections and new people who require you to branch out of a comfort zone and have conversations and share ideas that maybe you've never been engaged in before. So this energy wants to take us further and to face those Pluto in Aquarius fears, to not create unnecessary discord or to create the other, to not other each other, but instead look at, well, what would we have in common? What could we discuss? Is there anything there? Not that it has to be forced, but this is how we expand our own expectations and our mindset by stepping outside any of those limiting perceptions and belief systems that have created fears, projections, distortions, and separations. The trine between Pluto in Aquarius and Uranus in Gemini is also significant because the last time these two outer planets were in a major aspect was back in 2012 to 2015. That's when Pluto was in Capricorn and Uranus was in Aries. They had 7 squares over the course of 3 years that were jolting, disruptive, wildly uncomfortable, and brought about sudden life changes, especially if you had planets or points in the early degrees of Capricorn or Aries, as well as the early degrees of Libra or Cancer. These were squares that were changing your life in the cardinal signs. So if you look back to 2012 to 2015 and you know your chart, you could look and see what was wildly uncomfortable for you then that brought about job changes, new directions in your career, perhaps new levels of self-awareness around who you came here to be, more things you had to do on your own, new levels of independence, etc., etc. It was a big, impactful time. Well, now they are in a trine, and this is a beautiful, supportive, flowing direction that is expanding you into new possibilities. And so this trine is actually going to continue into 2029. Yes, they keep dancing together in Aquarius and Gemini areas of your chart, bringing about new ways of living our life. This is also, of course, the influence of technology, our devices, AI, all forms of information advancement. It is the influence of robots, humanoids, self-driving vehicles, for example. This energy is going to greatly change our daily lives as more of these technologies are brought into our daily life and our personal worlds, as well as our immediate communities. And then we have one more planet to bring into this basket alignment, and that is Jupiter in Leo at 4 degrees. Jupiter in Leo is the fastest moving of these 4 planets, And after Jupiter interacts with the 3 outer planets in July, Jupiter then moves forward and doesn't return to the interaction with these outer planets. And that's why this basket only happens once in this configuration. However, it's important to note that after Jupiter moves through Leo, we're then going to have the Sun move into Leo and contribute to this basket formation, followed by Mercury and Mars as well. And those are 3 personal planets that will be engaging with this outer planet lineup. So Jupiter in Leo, though, is coming into the equation, and it's special because Jupiter is only in Leo once every 12 years. And so it's a 12-year cycle that just so happens to be aligning with this very rare configuration. And Jupiter amplifies whatever sign it's in. So it's in Leo, which is the sign of your personal creations, inner willpower, determination, leadership, being seen and visible, seeking recognition and validation for your gifts and your creative abilities. It's also the energy where we feel stronger and more confident to be ourselves. So this Jupiter in Leo is going to give you the strength to take a risk, to do something that you just feel you want to go for. You just want to try it. You just want to see what unfolds. And there's something about it that feels personal to you, especially in both the solar plexus and heart chakras. Now, that's really where the Leo energy is the strongest, is when what you desire in your own personal power of the solar plexus does connect to the heart chakra. And that heart chakra is your desire, your passion, your love. Leo wants to love, wants to share love, give love, wants to be in love. And so it activates the heart's desire for romance, love, and connection that can feel very empowered when it's working with a healthy solar plexus. And so this could be something that you desire to experience in your life. Maybe this is something you wish to create, whether that is love, romance, partnership, relationships. This could also be something that you wish to create because it feels very playful and fun. It makes you come alive. Leo connects to your inner child. It can also be connected to how you take risks and competitiveness. There can be a desire to compete, a desire to be the best and to show others who you are and what you can do. But again, when it's connected to the heart, it's coming from a place of self-love and personal desire that supports the energies in being fuller and stronger. So Jupiter in Leo is activating us at a core level that, again, maybe felt dormant for a while. Maybe there were some things in your world or in your life you didn't have the strength for, you weren't ready for, you didn't feel like you wanted to get out there and do the thing. But now something is being beautifully supported that does reside in your heart, that is speaking to you in a way that lights you up or inspires you. And so as this Jupiter in Leo now interacts with Uranus and Gemini, this is where your thoughts gain more boldness, almost like a plan comes together. The words you want to say, the project you want to create, whatever you want to take action towards, it has something that comes together and clicks that is a solution. So this is highly favorable for that Jupiter in Leo connecting with that Uranus in Gemini through a sextile, where you know what you want to do, and then you have the action and energy to make it happen. Then we also have this Jupiter in Leo trining Neptune in Aries, which is retrograde. And the trine amplifies the fire energy of movement, growth, desire, action, and creation. And this is where that Jupiter in Leo is going to bring to life a dream, a new intention. Maybe this is something you've been contemplating and sitting with since even last year. And that's because I'm referencing back to when Neptune moved into Aries back in 2025. Maybe there's been something that's slowly been gaining energy for you. Like it's just been a dream. It's just been a whimsical thought. I don't know if it can happen. I don't know if I really want it. It has this potential inconsistency to it. And then as Jupiter in Leo trines this Neptune in Aries, there's a new force of power that says, I want it. I want it. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to create it. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for it. I want to make this dream real. And it's based on something that is personal to you. And it is supported by the universe. It is meant to be something that you actively participate in. And that is a strong theme here with the fire signs, where there is a need to show up, make moves, get it done, and ensure that you're actively using your energy and engaging in something that is firing you up. Again, that's part of this change where we're not meant to just be watching or observing. That's the energy we have been in for like 15 years. Now the energy is movement, direction, speaking up, moving forward, creating. So it is much more participatory, and that's where the universe is supporting you. So if you're feeling like you want to do something wild, crazy, and new, this is the energy of, yeah, go for it. You may be pleasantly surprised at how well it plays out and how quickly it comes together. Then we've got to pull into the equation here how that Jupiter in Leo at 4 degrees is going to be opposing Pluto in Aquarius retrograde, also at 4 degrees here. But this is a slow-moving opposition that is in place throughout the month of July, which is actually the case for all of these aspects. But this opposition is where there could be parts of your personal ego, what you want and desire, that's being opposed by an external force that is that Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, creating a power struggle that is resulting in some kind of ego death. Realizing maybe what I want or what I'm desiring is connected to a previous version of myself, and that this is a time to recreate in a higher form, in a higher manifestation, something completely brand new. Because a Pluto opposition is going to destroy and remove anything of lower frequencies, anything that is limited in scope, in perspective, anything that's overly connected to your own personal will without considering the bigger impact it could have on others or on the collective. And so there is a strong push-pull energy here that could even be difficult to move through if you're too resistant, too attached, or unwilling to grow. And so one visual that comes to mind here is that of an egg. Now, when an egg is attacked from the outside, it is smashed and destroyed. But when an egg is cracking from the inside, new birth is happening. There is new light, a new life force that's being revealed. And so it's looking at that egg and determining, am I going to give life to new parts of myself, to crack open intentionally by releasing my hold and my grasp on how I thought it had to be? Am I willing to do that within myself? And I'm seeing this egg in the solar plexus, in your personal power and desires, where you're willing to grow beyond what you thought was possible by facing some big fears, which is, again, is what that Pluto represents. And so there's something here where we're facing a fear that maybe has been persistent in this life or across multiple lifetimes that your soul has traveled with. And so this opposition is asking you to choose to be a new creator of your energy, to give birth beyond what you have known, allow yourself to perhaps experience a temporary ego death in the name of ongoing growth and a bigger manifestation that is working through you. And this Jupiter in Leo and this Pluto in Aquarius, even though they're in an opposition, each are supported by the other two planets of Uranus and Gemini and Neptune and Aries that I've been discussing. So there are ways to alleviate the pressure, to allow a transformation to happen. Ultimately, I feel like there's a regeneration occurring here. And even if you're like being forced to do it, or it feels like you're being forced against your will to do something, this is where you look at the bigger picture and the universe is saying, it's time. It's time. This is actually right on time. It's just the human perspective, the human ego, the human mind that thought, oh, I can stay with this or let this happen longer or play this out for a few more years. And the universe is like, nope, sorry. This is a time of dynamic change and you are ready beyond maybe what you expected. But if you are brave enough to go into these new parts of yourself and be newly created, you're going to be dazzled by what develops. It's probably going to be better than you expect because the regeneration process is clearing out a lot more that you don't need. And that could be part of the power struggle, right? Where you're like, well, I need this because I've always identified in this way, or I always thought this was important to me, or these are my favorite toys. Don't take my toys. This is what I've created in my life. This is what I've always wanted and needed. And so it can be destabilizing to where we have sought out reliability and consistency. Again, the opposition is in the fixed signs, and the fixed signs want to know what we can rely upon, and they don't want to change unless they choose to do so. But with this energy, with this alignment of this basket, the choice is already unfolding because you at a soul level agreed to it. And that could help you kind of get on board with what is unfolding or what you feel is pressing up against you, because that can help you feel bigger instead of smaller. This could help you be more in your light body than your fear body, because your fear body is actually based on everything from the past, what you've already been through and experienced and felt. It's even activating more of your fight or flight and your root chakra survival energies. And yet this Jupiter and Leo influence is asking you to go bigger in your light body, go bigger in seeing how you are powerful amongst the changes, and go into that beautiful, pristine place in yourself that is peaceful during these changes, because you're trusting, you're secure. In your core, you're realizing this is bigger than me anyway, so why would I put energy into fighting it when I understand this is timed for this year in my life and where I'm at right now? And so this is what July is moving us through. And the energies, again, will continue as we enter into Leo season, where the sun enters Leo on July 23rd, and then will also be a part of this basket July 27th. And then we have this really dynamic Aquarius full moon that also activates this basket. So essentially all this energy is coming through and moving us quickly into new chapters and new life developments that maybe you've been waiting for, maybe you're really ready for it. But do know that the energy continues not only through July, but the second half of this year and into the next few years as well. So remain intentional with what you want, with what's really in your heart. This is the energy too of being true to yourself, being very real and authentic with what it means to live a good life based on who you are now, right? So that means new dreams that are coming alive and that you're seeing maybe in a new way that didn't even exist a few years ago. Those are the ones that could surprise you. But again, this energy is positive, supportive, and forward moving. And I hope this gives you a good understanding of perhaps what you're experiencing right now, as well as what is to come. Now, after Jupiter in Leo and the Sun in Leo move beyond this basket formation, we then have the minor grand trine of the three outer planets that's still in play. And this minor grand trine is also going to be strong in your chart. It's going to be more of that long-term influence of life changes that unfold here into 2029. And as I mentioned before, you want to see where this is in your chart. You want to understand and have a heads up of what is changing for you so that you're not caught off guard and you can be in charge of the best choices and intentions that you have coming up at this time. So you want to check out how these three outer planets are working with you through that minor grand trine. You want to be able to track it and follow it over the next few years. And so that's why I keep sharing with you Manifesting with the Minor Grand Trine, the program I have that allows you to track these transits in your chart. I give you a deep dive understanding of each planet, of what is going on as they connect and interact. Then we pull in the other planets here in the conversation, including that Jupiter in Leo, Saturn in Aries, Chiron in Taurus. And basically, you can see what is coming down the line for you and how you can be ready and prepared for it. Now, this program is more intermediate level. That means you need to already have the basics of astrology down. The 4 basics of astrology are astrology planets, astrology signs, astrology houses, and the aspects. Those are the 4 foundational energies of understanding astrology. And this is an intermediate level program that teaches you more about how to interpret it in your chart. I made this course for you so that you can reference it year after year. It's meant to be something you come back to until 2029. I keep adding new content and new videos to it. It has over 22 teaching videos now, but it's going to give you a lot of good information. So please check it out. And you can use coupon code Cosmic Arrow to get it for 30% off. I'll put the details in the podcast description for you. But this is how astrology is a wonderful tool for your life. And it's how you want to make the most of this time in your life too. So as always, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll be back every Monday and Wednesday for a new podcast episode. Thank you so much for your time, energy, and presence. Sending you all the best vibes here as we move through July, and I'll see you back here soon.